I have been using the Panda as a daily driver for the last, I think, 5 or 6 months. Ever since I got the turbo off and got it road legal, I have been using it every day. And I think I have driven around 10,000 kilometers in it now. It is running beautifully. There is some small issues still, but it is running really nice. And it's amazing how capable this car is. It's not really good at anything, but it's capable of everything. And that I really love about this car. It's amazing. But today it is time to change the Cambelt. I talked about that when I took off the turbo. The big reason for that, I don't know when it's changed. I'm not that worried about it. It looks pretty good. And also, as far as I remember, it's a non-interference engine, so it's not a huge deal if it snaps. But anyway, it will leave me stranded if it snaps. And also, to make room for the turbo, the guy who did that conversion actually removed a big chunk of the Cambelt cover. So at the moment it's open for road grime and dust and stones and everything to be thrown into the Cambelt area. And that is not ideal. So I have gotten a new Cambelt cover, a new Cambelt and a new water pump. And I'm going to change that today and take you along on the journey. Let's get to work. I already raised the car up into the air and took off the wheel because that will give me access in there. I just need to take off this cover plate. This engine is pretty nice to work on because there's a lot of room. This is the cover that we need to take off. This right there is the big gaping hole into the Cambelt cover area, Cambelt area. That's really not a good thing. You want it to be clean and nice, and you don't want stones to accidentally jump into your Cambelt. That is not good. I seriously love this car. And I must admit I'm very happy that I now got the 106 Rally to drive daily at the moment because it's winter and there's salt everywhere. I am going to use the Panda if snow arrives or something like that, because that is what it's built for, pretty much. Well, it doesn't leave me a lot of room, but I can access some stuff in here, so that's good enough. Next up, we're going to work from the top and remove this Cambelt cover. That was one part of the cover off. Next up, there is at least a bolt right there, down there. Don't know if you can see it. And I don't know if I can reach it with this. Most likely I can't. Nope. And for some reason, after I went on a moped trip together with my friends and we used the garage before we go to just adjust some stuff. And ever since that day, my number 10 has been missing. I hope someone feels very guilty. Either way, I got a stash of extras down here, so I will manage. Not having a number 10 is a big problem in a garage. This one should be able to reach. And actually, the very difficult part about changing Cambelts is accessing the stuff you need to take off, in my opinion. Of course, it's also very important to set up things right so the car continues to be in time, but when you understand the theory about that and how it works, it's not that difficult. There we go, that was the lower bolt. Oh, that worked. Nice. Then we can take this off together with the pulley. Whoops, right there. And here we have the entire Cambelt assembly open to view. The camshaft, the crankshaft down there, the water pump, and the idler or tightening pulley. So before removing anything, I'm gonna set the engine on time. I don't know if this is something that you can lock like I could on the Peugeot, but either way I'm just going to do it without and make sure that everything lines up. I have a mark right there that needs to line up with the mark right there. Now it is right. That's difficult to see in camera, but that notch in the wheel is lined with the notch in the engine. Not the joint between the cylinder head and the engine, but the notch just below that point. Down here, that will also be difficult to show because of perspective. It seems to be a common mistake that it's supposed to line up with this. I found pictures on the internet telling me that it needed to line up with this, but it, in my opinion, seems more likely that it needs to be lined up with this edge right there, because, and that's another way to check down here, there is a hole. Can you see that notch in the flywheel? That lines up with the black tooth that is sticking out. Most likely that was hard to see on camera because I could imagine that the focusing was not very good. But there are marks down there and also on the casing that indicates that the engine is now on TDC, top dead center. So that is perfect. And also I noticed that this Cambelt and the old Cambelt got white markings on the Cambelt. So you have to put that on. You don't have to, but if you put them on, and so that they correspond to the markings on camshaft pulley and the crankshaft pulley, they need to line up if the engine is in time. So that is also nice. Then this is off, and we can take off the Cambelt. I'm going to throw this out right away because I once actually changed the Cambelt on the car and then ended up putting the old Cambelt back on and just I didn't discover it before everything was buttoned up. So that's, I'm not going to do that mistake again. Either way, next up I'm going to remove that water pump. And of course coolant is going to drain out when I do that. So we'll have to have a catch can ready. There we go. I'm just going to clean up that surface it seals against. So next up, I need to make sure that the new water pump seals, of course. So that needs some silicone sealant around. A word of warning, there is different water pumps when you look this engine up. And there's different amount of teeth on the sprocket. You need to make sure that you get the same. I think this will do. And then we will fit that back in. I'm just going to tighten it up using both my hands because my other hand is holding the camera. So be right back. So next up, I take the new belt and localize the white stripes. And then I put them on. Of course, I also need to put the idle pulley on. And the idler or tightening pulley is without the inner piece, so I need to take that out of the old one. It comes out pretty easy, as you can see. Jesus Christ. And then put it onto the new one, like so. Then I can fit it loosely. Like this. Then I can route the Cambelt the right way around that. And yes, once again, this is maybe looking a bit stupid, but it's because I'm doing it one-handed, which is difficult, but a good challenge nonetheless. Like so, and then underneath. Of course, what I want to do when everything is tightened up, I'm going to turn the engine twice and make sure that the lines are still matching the markings on the engine. The white lines on the Cambelt will not line up after 2 turns, but the other marks needs to be lined up. So now comes a controversial part of this thing, because this one needs to be tightened up using some special tools that either listens to the sound the belt makes, or tightens up via a torque wrench and a special tool that clips into these holes. I don't have that. What I'm going to do, and this is a non-interference engine, so it's not a big deal, but of course it's not good if it snaps either way, but I'm gonna use a pair of pliers to fit into the holes. Right now it's just finger tight. Can you see? That way I can put pressure on it, and then by feel I'm gonna tighten it up. Do that at your own risk. I have never had any issues with it, but it's not the right way to do it, just saying. So with that done, I'm going to turn the engine twice and line the marks up, and hopefully both of them lines up. There we go. Everything lines up perfectly, so that's great. Next up is just fitting the new, nice and shiny Cambelt cover. And then we're going to fill it with coolant once again, and then we'll be back on the road. I'll just real quick put that back on. It's just reverse of what the other stuff that I did, and then take you back when we are ready to put back in coolant. So everything is back on the engine, the cover and all that for the camshaft, or the cam belt of course. And right now I'm doing something that someone would most likely call controversial once again. This is the coolant that I drained. And I changed this coolant a couple of months back when I did the turbo delete. So I know this is good. This is good for a couple of years at least. But some dirt got on it because it ran down the side of the engine block and took some dirt and debris with it. Therefore I'm just filtering it. And then I'm going to reuse it. Of course I could have just bought some new coolant liquid, but one thing is that it costs some money. That's one thing. I have a lot of cars. It adds up. I can assure you about that. But the other thing is that this is some pretty dangerous chemicals actually, especially for animals. So I don't see any reasons to buy more of this stuff if I don't need it, and I don't think I need it at this moment. So I'm going to reuse this, but I'm going to filter it through a piece of cloth just to get all the small sand particles and so on out of the system. So I spilled. It is now looking very nice and clean. And just to remember for the future, it was changed at 83,000 kilometers. And the date is the 29th of November. Next change, I suspect, should be at 163,000 kilometers. Well, shop name, stamp. Like that. So that's about it for the Cambelt change on the Panda. Now I'm going to start it up. Hopefully it runs still. And then I'm going to bleed the system and make sure everything is fine. Woohoo! It's not really supposed to sound like that, is it? I don't think we can do much more than just take stuff apart once again. I can't really see anything wrong. I'm gonna start it up again. Maybe not the most clever move in the world, but that's what I'm going to do. think something seems to be touching the bolt down here. So let me try to show you. Can you see that bolt in the mirror? That is touching, or the spacer or the washer beneath it is touching the wheel, touching the crankshaft pulley. I had to put those spacers on because the bolt or the design was a bit different than the original cover, and therefore the original bolt was too long. But what I think I can do is just to take this out and find a smaller bolt and put in without the washer, so it lies further down. Really don't know if you can see it right, but I'm gonna do that and then take you back. Note to self, edit that first start out. So everything is back together now, and let's see if the Panda runs after the Cambelt change. The water is in and everything is fine, and I have made no errors and everything is most likely completely perfect. Let's try to start it. Everything is perfect. I'm gonna make sure that the system is bled correctly and all that. But this will be the end for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked it, and if you do, then subscribe if you haven't already. And see you in the next one.